So I'd like to read about our guest speaker to us today. So please stay tuned while I read. And then please, if you have anything to say, you can use the chat box and then I'll respond to you. If you have messages that want to send to me privately, please do. So today is our second webinar on finance. Yeah, this is the second one in like 2 weeks. And then the last one we had about finance, having the right money mindset. And then today is like the deeper version of it. And then our guest speaker for today is David Alade. And then please stay with me while I read this profile. Please welcome David using the chat box. Welcome David. We're excited to have you here. So I'm going to read your profile. David is an assistant manager, data analytics. David Alade is a digital transformation professional with expertise in data management and analytics. He helps organizations in formulating their digital transformation. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, someone was saying something. Hi, David, you were trying to say something.
No, it wasn't me. It was someone else, but I muted already.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So hi, go again. David Alade is a digital transformation professional with expertise in data management and analytics. He helps organizations in formulating their digital transformation strategy and specializes in implementing data-related transformation. He has led and implemented solutions on data governance, data management, business intelligence, and other general analytics solutions for organizations. He is an assistant manager with EY Technology Consulting in the UK, our boss. He also has experience in PwC in Nigeria. He enjoys writing and he has a blog, www.davidalade.com. He has a philosophy centered around a belief that if we can commit ourselves to reading, thus increasing knowledge, only God can limit how far we can go in life. His interests cut across finance, data science, and education. We're super excited to have you here. Please, I would like each and every one of us to take a minute to mute ourselves. This minute, let's mute ourselves. Let's check if we are mute. Let's get our pen. Let's get our Bible. Welcome, David. We're so excited to have you here. And we look forward to learning from you because we have a lot to learn from you. I have the Rahman. Please mute. So, hi, David. Over to you. Thank you so much. You can share your screen. Please let me know if you can share your screen.
Yeah, I think I have the answers. Good evening, everyone. Okay, sorry, remind me your name again. Oraluwa, thank you. Reading that makes it feel like, I don't know, like we should just say David Alade is there and let's talk. Ukomi, I thought you were going to reduce that.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said I thought you were going to reduce that.
Oh, okay. No. Yeah, a big man now.
Okay. Okay, host disabled participants for sharing screen. I think you should just probably enable that.
Oh, okay. Should I give you an access?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir, please, I'm coming.
Okay, so while we wait for that, good evening, everyone. Really, I'm just David Alade. I'm happy to be here with you all. Like this class, it's usually interesting. I mean, what we're basically going to do today is just to chat with each other. I think that's it, right? It's probably the best thing to do. Let's just chat with each other. Let's think about wealth together. There is this thing about, oh, you gave me access and you disabled it again.
Oh. I'm coming.
All right, that's fine.
Please, let's mute our mics if we are not talking.
Okay, thank you. So give me a minute. Okay. All right. So there's this thing about that I sort of take my time to think on a lot, which is basically navigating life. And basically, we'll be talking about navigating wealth, thinking about wealth, building wealth, basically everything about wealth, basically. You see, we're thrown, okay, I still don't have access to share screen.
Yeah, you have access now.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to, yeah. Can you confirm? In the sense of, can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, I can. I can see it.
Yes,
Very
yes, we can see your screen.
All right, thank you. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I usually tell people that we're just a bunch of clueless individuals that were thrown on planet Earth with no idea exactly how to navigate that planet. And it's so complex. I don't know if anybody agrees with me that it's just one complex planet here. You have to me, especially once you become an adult, right? You have different things to navigate. You have your career to navigate. You have your relationship to navigate. You have your family to navigate. You have wealth to navigate. And basically, we're just clueless. We are not, a lot of times, we're not equipped enough to navigate those things. I mean, if you have thought about it before, I'm sure a lot of people, I mean, you probably will have heard this thing about why do they teach us personal finance in school? Why would they teach us every other thing? And, I mean, personal finance, why would they teach us the importance of savings, wealth, the habit, and things like that? Well, thank God you are a member of Bookhub and you get the opportunity. Yeah, I'm a data analytics professional, but I don't think there is any qualification for you to qualify to be able to speak about. I mean, I'm sure if Adebayo M51 was put on here, I'm sure it's going to have something to share with us as well. And basically, it's just about we sharing experiences in terms of probably how we've managed ours or how we've helped others to manage theirs. And probably just thinking about it just gives you the opportunity to be able to talk about it. So, building a wealth mindset. Okay, let me see. I'm wondering why these things don't allow me to see the full screen. Thank you. Yeah, building a wealth mindset. Yeah, because we all want wealth and we all deserve it. Who doesn't deserve wealth? Okay. I'm going to take the next 2 to 4 minutes just chit-chatting about this. And I call it chit-chatting because it's just a subset of what I want to talk about today. And just to ensure that I talk about what's going on in the world of probably wealth or investing or whatnot right now. So I put here it's a very simple idea actually, that says don't invest short-term capital in long-term assets. Now I know this is a very bad start. I don't think it's a very bad start, but basically, like I said, it's a chit chat. It's a way to kind of welcome us into what we're about to talk about today. So I say don't invest short-term capital in long-term assets. It's a recipe for disaster. And it's very simple. Depending on who you are, how you've been managing your money before today, you are either smiling right now, crying, or yeah, let me just give you those two options. You're either smiling or crying, right? So, and what do I mean by that? If you have your money invested in stock, especially the US stock market, or invested in crypto, I don't know what kind of portfolio you might have. You're probably in red right now, right? And like I said, you're probably crying or you're smiling. And it depends on whatever you might have done with this equation. Short-term capital, okay, let me just, okay, I think, is it big enough and it's clear enough? I don't want to put it in full screen. But I want to confirm if it's clear enough or I should just put it in full screen.
Yeah, it's clear and it's big enough.
All right, thank you. Beautiful. I mean, it just depends on whatever you've done with this equation. Of course, you probably know that a short-term capital is a money that you probably need tomorrow. But you might have gotten, someone might have convinced you that, Bitcoin is rising in price, or this particular crypto is rising in price, or this particular stock is rising in price, and you probably put it and you're like, but I need this money in 3 weeks' time. And unfortunately for you, putting it there, boom, the market is going down. Of course, you could have been lucky. you could have been lucky as well that you put it there and it's going up. Basically, it's up and down. You never can tell, which is why it's always important to just have that mindset of, you know what, short-term capital, the money that you need for in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months, right? Up to a year, basically. I think that's what I usually tell people. Up to a year. Don't put it in a volatile asset, stock, crypto, market, or whatnot. Put it wherever it is safe. Put it in your piggy bank, put it in your cash, if that is the only option that you have, because you need it. And you see, wealth is multidimensional. First, it's psychological, because there is no threshold. I can tell you that I'm wealthy, for instance, now, and probably I don't have more than £10,000 or 1 or 10 million naira in my account. And that person will tell you that, wow, everywhere just add. And they probably have 40 million, or basically it's wealthy. There is no threshold, right? So it's first a thing of the mind. It's first a thing of the mind to say, where am I as an individual in terms of where I want to be as well. But yeah, that's what I wanted to just quickly mention about that. Short-term capital goes to short-term assets. Long-term capital goes to long-term assets. Long-term capital, the money that you're just saving, no plan for it, right? Just saving. You're like, you know what? This 5% of my money, this 10% of my money, this 20% of my money, depending on it, right? I'm not going to need it for, like, I don't see myself having it for it. But yeah, let's get to the mindset that I want to talk about, the mindset, the wealth thing that I want to talk about today. I spoke with a senior colleague. It was in 400 level. Yeah, 400 level when I was in 100 level some weeks ago. And I was asking him basically, hey, Chief, how do you manage your money? And I was like, David, are you sure I'm the right person to ask that question? To ask that question. I'm like, why now? It was like, he doesn't have savings, so he doesn't even think, he doesn't have savings, doesn't have investment. I'm like, okay, you were in 400 level when I was in 100 level. But you see, why did I ask him? I asked him because he's currently enrolled in an MBA program in the US. I mean, in an Ivy League, basically, in an Ivy League. And I really wanted to stress the Ivy League. And I mean, after that, it was like, I don't have savings, I don't have investment. I've put all my money in education all my life. I mean, ACCA, CFA, chartered. Now he's gone for his MBA. I'm like, that's me. That's all I do with my money. At the end of the conversation, it now ended it to this point. It was like, see, David, I'm going to just continue making money. And because I'm going to continue making money, like the career path that I have before me, I'm going to continue making money. And because I'm going to continue making money, what I am prioritizing at this stage of my life is just the capacity to make more money. It's not because I mean, according to him, it was like, what's $1 million that I'm earning? What's 1.5 million naira that I'm earning? When, I mean, that is if I stayed in Nigeria and I'm probably saving part of the 1 million naira. When I can pack all my money together, I'm probably even going in debt, right? Like loan money to get a top class MBA from the US. And after my MBA of 2 years, I can start earning $250,000. Like that's the money that will change your life within a year of when you start earning it. And whatever saving you might have missed in the past couple of years, you just notice that within 2 years, you're up. Like you quickly cut up. And that's the first thing I want to talk about today. You see, if the axe is dull, much strength is needed. So the idea is sharpen the axe. Yeah, sharpen the axe. Sharpening the axe is basically increasing your capacity to earn more money. And that's the beginning of wealth. Like, I mean, you start talking about wealth when basically the conversation of wealth is a conversation of what you earn and what you have left. What you earn and what you have in terms of, you know what's my name? I have this today. But if the axe is dull, much strength is needed. If the axe is dull, before you can save $1,000, I mean, okay, let me say, before you can save $10,000, that's probably 5.5 million naira in Nigeria today. Before you can save it, you'll probably be saving for, let's say, a year, 2 years, depending on your income, right? I mean, some people, I mean, it's 5.5 million, probably some people's a year income. So the likelihood that you will save 5.5 million within a year It's slim. Probably you are taking 2 years, 3 years to save it. David Alade, want to say something? Okay. But that's the idea. Prioritizing your earning capacity. It's probably one of the most fundamental thing when it comes to wealth. And everything that I'll be talking on later on, we'll be going back to this point. I'll move on now. Everything I'll talk about later on, we'll be going back to this point. And it's simple. I'll just say it again. If the axe is dull, much strength is needed. But you see, once the axe is sharpened, oh my God, you chop easily, you'll be able to chop the tree. And that's the idea. So whatever you can do within your capacity to increase your earning capacity, whatever you can do within your capacity to increase your earning capacity, I guess that makes sense. Whatever you can do within your capacity to increase your earning capacity, do it. Especially now. I think we all should be in the same quote-unquote age group. So yeah, especially now. Because you see, no matter what you might save from your 200,000 salary up to even 1 million salary. I mean, 1 million, okay, 1 million salary is a lot actually. You save a lot from that. Let me not exaggerate that. But whatever you might be able to save, if you increase your capacity, but of course, before you earn 1 million as well, you know what you must have done, right? Probably you're earning 200,000 now. Then you want to target earning 1 million. You don't just get to 1 million, right? You've got to do some things to deserve it. And that's the idea. First, you want to increase your base. Again, because focusing on saving just 10,000 naira, and I mean, I like to tell people that what's the benefit of 200% return on 10,000 naira? That's nonsense. You are still at 30,000, right? But a 10% return on 1 million naira, yeah, that's something that's worthwhile. Because now a 10% return alone will give me 100,000. So yeah, that means if I can, of course, I won't be chasing 200% here and there. But let's even say I was lucky enough to get it, then it becomes substantial, right? So that's the first mindset. Now, let's go to capital. Let's move on to conversation around wealth leverage. Excuse me. Wealth is made from 4 leverages: labor, capital, media, and code. This is an idea from Naval, and I first read about this idea, I think in 2019. Yeah, 2019 or so. That's 2019 or 2020, I can't remember. And ever since, I've been seeing it. I've seen it play out again and again and again. Like again and again and again. So if you can think about whatever definition of wealth that you might have, I'm sure money is part of it, right? Now, if you think about every individual that has made money in this world, the source of wealth has to come from any of these 4. What is labor? Basically, your ability to coordinate people, bringing people together and leveraging them. So leveraging them basically to increase your output. So I'm just David. If I can organize 10 more people, if I can work 6 hours per day, and I organize 10 more people to work with me, for instance, on a thing, I've been able to do 60 hours of work per day instead of just me, 6 hours. And I'll give you a typical example. A typical freelancer, for instance, probably freelancing on Upwork or whatnot, can only do, let's quote and unquote, let's say can only do 6 hours of work per day, right? What if the person I've become so good as an individual and I'm like, but I need to be able to expand this pie. I can't just be earning for 6 hours per day. What can that kind of a person do when it comes to using labor to increase their wealth? That kind of person can say, you know what, let me bring 10 more people to join me. Wherever you get them, that's a problem. that's not a conversation today. But yeah, you bring in 10 more people to do 60 more hours of work for you. That's how you increase wealth, basically. Leverage. What about capital? I mean, that's in terms of that. What about capital? People like Warren Buffett, for instance, they were able to make their wealth simply because they can organize capital. So what is capital? Basically, let's say you are very broke today, and I just give you 1 billion naira. Okay, 1 billion naira is a stretch. And I give you, let me just use an extreme example. And I just give you 1 billion naira. You know what? You will give me this money back in 10 years. Just give me this money back in 10 years. As an individual, I won't even do much of a stress at all. What will I do with the wealth? I'll just put it in probably treasury bill or something. Can you guarantee me that every year you will give me 10% return on this 1 billion? Yes, I can guarantee you, David. I'll just give you the 1 billion. Go and do whatever you want to do with it. Just give me 10% just give me 10%. That's probably 100 million every year, right? And that's massive. That's where wealth, that's another place where wealth comes from. 1, labor. Ability for you to bring people together to expand your output. And of course, when it comes to wealth, it's always about expanding output. Everything is about expanding output. It's just that the means of doing it is what differs, right? Labor, depending on your career, depending on what you're focusing on, determines the kind of capital, will determine the kind of leverage that you need to expand your pie, to increase your wealth. So for some, it's labor. For some, it's capital. And of course, it's not exclusive. You can have, more often than not, you can put the four together, right? Trust me, you can put the four together. Capital is another thing. Media is another thing. Your ability to reach, your ability to reach people, basically. So think about, let's say I have a newsletter, for instance, now that is subscription-based. The same efforts that I will use to write one newsletter, I'm sending to 1,000 people. Let's say 1,000 people are subscribed to me, and probably they are paying me one pound. Let's say one naira. It's 1 naira, whatever. And they are all paying me one naira, right? The same effort that I will use to send to 1,000 people is the same effort that I will use to send to 1 million people. Now, how will I move from 1,000 people to 1 million people? Media gives you that. It gives you visibility. It gives you, basically it gives you visibility. And because you get the visibility, more people subscribe and more people pay you. And that's media leverage. Now, code is another thing. For those that knows how to code, they just sit down in the back of, in the corner of their house. Just by the power of putting things together on their laptop, they create a new product that becomes something that can lend them income. That's another leverage that people use in making code. Now, anytime you are thinking about wealth, you need to be thinking along these 4 things. I don't know if there is a 5th one, but I've actually not found. Right? Now, labor is not as cheap, nor is capital cheap. But you see, media and code, like I put here, those 2 things are freely available to anyone. Anybody today can go on Twitter, can go on LinkedIn, can go on Instagram, can go on TikTok and build their followers. And of course, building your followers basically means more people know you, such that by the time you have something to sell, you have to sell. There is no wealth without selling. And we'll get to that point. At the end of the day, we all sell. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, we are all sellers. We all got something to sell. I'm selling you something now. I'm selling you an idea. Selling you an idea about wealth creation. Okay. At the end of the, so like I said, media, code, those 2 are freely available to everyone. Nobody, like I was using 1 billion naira example, right? Who's going to give me 1 billion? Who knows my papa? That's going to hand over 1 billion to me. Nobody's going to do that, right? And when it comes to labor, if I should say Bukomi or Dami should come and do something for me now, wouldn't they expect me to pay them? And paying them is probably number 1 problem of labor. Number 1 issue with labor. Number 2 issue with labor is it's difficult to coordinate people, right? It's extremely difficult to coordinate people because you don't shy away from it. But I'm just saying media and code, those 2 things are freely available. But of course, you can always bring them all together. And those are wealth leverages. And whenever you're thinking about wealth, that's how to think about it. Labor, capital, media, code. Those are, now, leverages are useless. Leverage, they are useless. Like they are very useless if there is no one thing. If there is nothing for you to apply them on. If there is nothing to invest the 1 billion that person give me in to pay me 10%, the 1 billion will just sit down there for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, what will happen? The person will come and collect their 1 billion back and I'll just go back to being poor. Right? Labor as well. People won't come around you to say, let's circle around David. Or let's circle around Dami. Sorry, Dami, if I'm putting you in sports, I'm very sorry. But I can see your name direct on my screen. That's why I'm using Dami. So excuse me for that. Right? For you people to say, let us circle around Dami, Dami must have something to offer them, right? And that's it. And of course, media, you can build all the followers, but it amounts to nothing. If you've got nothing to exchange with it for them, of course, trust me, there are different reasons for. I'm not saying everybody that builds followership on social media or that builds a media empire or whatnot. I'm just saying for you to apply leverage is useless on its own. You've got, there's got to be something that you apply leverage on, and that will take us to our next knowledge, our next point now, which is specific knowledge. I say develop authority in an area where you are uniquely qualified. And you've got to keep looking for this until you find it, then double down on it. Wealth is interesting. Wealth is interesting. And I'll probably I'll probably use an example. A book that's a lot of you have probably read in a Bookhub, Morgan Housel. Morgan Housel is a very fascinating writer, like extremely fascinating. And if you've read his book, I'm sure you really like you must have, You must have really appreciated. Interesting. How can one man just put things together like this? But you see, Morgan is an interesting character. Over his career, what he has always done is writing. Well, largely writing, and that's it, writing. Morgan should probably be in his mid-30s, or mid-30s right now. He should probably be in his mid-30s. And over that period, despite all the understanding that he has, you see how fascinating that book is? The only thing that guy ever invested, like the only thing he invests his money in is just S&P 500, like just index. He doesn't do, Tesla is the next big shot. He doesn't do Bitcoin. Guy just put his money in this. Now, where he put his money is not my problem. But he got to a stage in his life where he was like, you know what? Since people appreciate what I write, let me put what I write together into a book and sell it. The guy has sold more than 1 million copies of that book today, the book that he wrote in 2020. And of course, because I know Morgan Housel before he wrote the book, and I've read a lot of his articles before he wrote the book. At the end of the day, the book is just a compilation of all, like 60 to 70% of the book are things that, like, guy, you've written about this before. But that's not the point. The point is he has gotten to a stage where he's like, you know what? This is my area. Let me put all these things together. And that's the specific knowledge. That's the specific knowledge that comes into. So, I mean, of course, specific knowledge doesn't have to be in it. It doesn't have to be in it. It just means it's your area of strength. It's your area of strength. And when you discover your area of strength, sometimes it takes time to discover it. And sometimes you discover it, you still don't know how to leverage it. But you see, the moment you get to that point, you're like, you know what, this is me. Like, this is me. This finance, this tech, this data, this marketing, this is me. That is you. Beautiful. Become so good in it. Like, become so good in it that, of course, it goes in levels. That when it comes to talking amongst your friends, when they say marketing, the first person they want to think about is Shola, Tamilola, or whatnot, whatever. That's usually the first person they want to think about. When it comes to your place at work, whenever they are thinking about, you know what, we want to create a marketing strategy. Like, you know what, you must get ideas from Dami. Why would you get ideas from that? Why would you get ideas from Ola? Why would you get ideas? I mean, he's the one, she's the one. That's it. You want to become so good there. And of course, trust me, I mean, the way life works, right? I started by telling us that we're all thrown into this life without a map, and we have to navigate it. No matter how good you are, there will always be someone that is better, right? But of course, you're not in the business of comparing yourself. You're just in the business of becoming the best you can possibly be in whatever you are, in whatever you lay hands on. You're in the business of that. And if you're in the business of that, you double down on that once you discover, you know what, this is it. Like, this is the area for me. When you do that, what specific knowledge gives you? What specific knowledge gives you is trust. What specific knowledge gives you? Excuse me. Morgan Housel. Okay, I mean, just for the sake of taking a break from talking. What specific knowledge gives you, right, is trust. And what's the importance of trust in the wealth market? The importance of trust in the wealth market, and I will go back to Morgan Housel. And of course, this is because the guy is just unique. We just like him for who he is. You see, he's not trying to be the Warren Buffett of 2022. He's not trying to be the whatnot, the Donald Trump of what year. He's not trying to be anything. He's just trying to be him. And because we know him, trust him enough, by the time he puts out it, we're all buying it. That's trust. That's it. And that's the beauty of trust. But trust doesn't end there. Come back to the leverage that we have here. Another thing that trust gives you by the time you build that specific knowledge is that you become powerful enough to organize labor. Because people want to be around you. Who doesn't want to be around the most, I mean, the very savvy marketer, the most important guy? When he writes his code, I mean, when he writes his code, when he does his analysis, when he does that, he's just the guy. By the time you're like, you know what, I think I want to go and set up my team, if that is your team. And everybody knows how to set up. Forgive me, that's it. Or by the time you request for promotion, because you probably are requesting now, you're requesting for a managerial promotion, an executive promotion. Why would they give it to you? Except they trust you that, you know what, if he makes decision for the company, we're going to progress. That's what trust does for you. Beyond that, trust gives you capital. People like Warren Buffett make their wealth simply because they have specific. This guy is so good at spotting good opportunity that people can literally dump their dollars on them. There are hundreds of millions of dollars, there are tens of millions of dollars, there are billions of dollars. You know what, Buffett, take, manage it. I think it was Navas that used this example. That was like, you know what, stripe Warren Buffett of all his wealth today. Stripe him of all his wealth. By tomorrow, he'll become wealthy again. Why? Specific knowledge. Because people are paying him for his knowledge. Not necessarily paying him, but people are committing their capital to him for his knowledge. So the fact that you stripe his wealth for him today doesn't mean he doesn't have the specific knowledge again. He will just come again tomorrow. Like, guys, I'm organizing capital again. And people will still give it to him. And that's one of the importance of sharpening the sword that I talked about earlier. That's one of the importance of sharpening the sword. But now I use another example. I mean, I would just, because I'm talking about something that he was probably someone that introduced me to it. He said, you know what? Take away he said, okay, this was how he put it. He said, the way he thinks about wealth is that if you stripe me of all my wealth today, and you put me in a new country where I don't know nobody, right? I don't know anybody, and give me another 10 years. Meet me in another 10 years, despite the fact that I'm starting from ground zero, I'll be wealthy again. And that's the point. Why? What can give you that kind of confidence that you'll be wealthy again? Well, because your MBA is from Harvard. Well, because you understand how money works. Well, because you are the best marketer. And all you need to do is just to come up with a new marketing campaign. Well, because you understand investment analysis. And all you just have to do is to sit down with your laptop for 10 days, recognize the best opportunity, pitch it to someone. They may not listen to you, but by the time the reality plays out, they're like, oh, interesting, you were right. Can you do the next one? And that's it. That's it. That's the idea of sharpening the sword, building specific knowledge. Yeah, it's not enough about specific knowledge. But that's the way to think about wealth. That's the way to think about it. That's the way to think about it. I'll stop there for now. Now, yeah, this is an interesting one. And I've probably touched on, I've definitely touched on it. Get good at sales. Everybody sells. Like at the end of the day, everybody sells. You see, all great careers to some degree become sales job. You have to evangelize your plans to customers, prospective employees. You have to convince investors. You've got to tell the press something, right? Everybody becomes a salesperson at the end of the day. What do you think the job of a CEO is? At that stage, you're no longer doing a marketing plan or what. You're just bringing in, you're communicating vision, you're leading, you're becoming a salesperson basically, right? A new product is released, you're like, you know what, we must meet the big, we must be able to crush the market, that kind of a thing. And when we say get good at sales, what does it mean? It's just basically another way of just saying get good at communication. Trust me, it's just another way of saying get good at communication. Because you see, everybody at the end of the day gets to communicate. And you're probably wondering, how will getting good at communication bring me wealth? Well, I'm sure we have brilliant people, so we are probably not wondering at the same time. But really, I'll share. Let me share an example. I met someone recently, and I'm probably someone that is big on networking and always trying to expand my network, right? I met someone recently, and why did I meet the person? Why did I meet the person? It's simply because I reached out to the person, but trust me, I won't be the first person to be reaching out to the person. But I communicated my story in an interesting way. The person was like, that's interesting, let's meet. And we met. And after we met, the person was like, I mean, you've even got an interesting story. And this is a very great guy. I was like, you know what, David, I'll give you this opportunity, this so opportunity. So let's execute on that. I'm like, really? I mean, I actually didn't call him to get any opportunity. I just called him to say, hey, like I said, I'm just one person that is big on this, so I just want to meet one new person, that kind of thing. Like, interesting. Why did that come to be? Of course, the opportunity is another, I mean, basically, whatever the opportunity is. But that's the idea about life, right? Getting good at communication gave me that. Gave me an ability to tell my story, to convince, again, to convince someone, to persuade someone, to tell you that, you know what? Follow me. This is my dream. Let's build this dream together. I mean, a lot of people have accused someone like Elon Musk, for instance, that he's just selling fables. It's just, I mean, for the first couple of years of that guy, it's like, people are just telling him that this electric car, this journey to the Mars that you're talking about, it's not going to happen. But you see, the guy just keeps telling his story, and he organized a lot of people around him together, though. But that's the idea. And of course, the more you advance in your career as well, you just get to need it more. You just get to need it more. You don't want to sit before a party and you can't convince them to buy your products. You don't want to tell your man, you don't want to tell, let's say, your executive that, you know, I want the manager promotion, and they ask you why. And you're like, hey, you know, because I did. Yeah, you have to be convincing. You have to be convincing. You want to raise capital. I mean, you're probably using the code leverage. You want to raise capital. You've got to be able to tell your story in a very convincing way, right? And that's it. Those are things that gives wealth. At first, they might look like they are not, but trust me, they do. Because you see, money, which is the reflection, like the reflection of the wealth that we all desire, right? Is not to be chased. Like it's useless chasing money. Because money is just something that responds to value. It's just something that responds to value. So chasing it is it's not a good way of having it. Because if you chase it, you're having the wrong mindset. But you see, because it responds to value, anywhere there is value, money just comes. Because why won't it come? Because that's how we exchange value. So if I exchange value with you, the best way to quantify it is usually through money. So it's just something that responds to value. So you don't chase it; it comes. By the time you become a person of value, by the time you have specific knowledge, by the time you've grown, by the time you've developed, by the time you've invested in yourself. I think I was on Twitter. I was reading someone's story on Twitter recently. Was it Twitter or LinkedIn? Yeah, person just write the story. The guy just write the story. That it was at a branch, because it was at a branch. He's a bank executive, but that day he took the day off and he was like, well, let me just visit a branch. And he got to the branch and a lady over the counter was saying hello to him, and he was like, where did I know you? And he was like, you don't remember me? I think it was like 5 years ago or so. I used to serve you. What's it called? The lady was like, I used to serve your tea. And of course, he remembered, yeah, that's true, you left. And now you are here. That's interesting. You got here, you must have invested. I mean, if you didn't invest in yourself, you can't become someone working in that kind of a place, right? And that's it. Because if you don't invest in yourself, you don't increase your capacity, right? Your growth, and so funny enough, you might be growing. But you see, depending on how you want your life to be, you either want to be growing linearly. Every 1 year, you want to increase one level. But some people don't have patience for that. Some people want to leapfrog. They want to move from level 1 to level 7. That's it. But you see, they say that the world isn't yet foolish. Yeah, that was another interesting guy said it. He said the world is not yet foolish enough to give a bunch of undeserving people, to give a bunch of people what they did not deserve. That's it. You see, the world is not yet foolish enough to give a bunch of people what they did not deserve. You've got to deserve it, right? And the serving it is that it's in investing in yourself, it's in doing all those things. And yeah, now the last point. In all your looking, look out for equity. Why is equity important? Yeah, you have your career, you earn 500,000 per month, you earn whatever amount you're earning per month, and that's fine. But you see, the problem with that kind of earning is that the day you stop working, it stops coming in. The day you stop working, it stops coming in. And when it stops coming in, it means whatever you have is what you have to depend on, right? Whatever you have is what you have to depend on. And when you depend, whatever you have is what you have to depend on, right? And when you depend on that, it depletes. I mean, by default, it should just be reducing. But what equity does is an ability for you to earn while you're not working. So probably you work for a company that has an equity option, for instance. Work with a company that has an equity option. Take it, right? Take it. You have the opportunity to buy a stock. You have the opportunity to invest in a startup. You have the opportunity to invest in the latest technology or whatnot. Invest in them. They are equity. Because these things will help you to earn even though you are not working. And that's it. So while you've done all this, you've built your capacity, you've sharpened the saw, you've built specific knowledge, you're applying leverage, you're doing all that. You must look out for equity. Because equity is what gives you the robust wealth. Cash is whatnot. Cash is whatever. But you see, when you convert the cash to equity, ownership in a thing, basically. Ownership in a company, ownership in an opportunity, such that it keeps earning, you keep getting, even though you're not working. Yeah, that's the true, like that's the stage of wealth that you want to be. But of course, how will you own an equity? Who will give you equity if you don't have what they require? A startup will not give you an equity except you know what, you have one skill that is critical to their success, and you're like, you know what, let us employ you. We give you 1% of our company. And by the time the company becomes a unicorn, as the case may be, or whatnot, you have an exit and you become the latest big boy in Lagos, in Dubai, in London, wherever you are, right? That's one. Or you put your money in, you know what? Every month I just put some of my money in S&P 500. I just invest it in one stock or the other. I just invest if it rise vest. If rise vest is what you know, I just buy Bitcoin. I just buy Ethereum because you know what? I understand it. I know the future is bright for it. I don't care what not. You just keep on investing in it. Just keep on. Yeah, those are different equity options that you can put your money in, and yeah, over the period you'll be fine. And of course, there is no overnight wealth. Unfortunately, there is no overnight. I know we all want it right now. I wish I can have it. Like my money that is called, my money that I will have in 10 years' time. Let me have it from now. Unfortunately, there is no overnight wealth. You've got to be deserving. That's the way the world works. You've got to be deserving of it. And when you become deserving of it, inevitably, just like my senior colleague said, that I don't get saving, I don't get investment, so I just invest in myself. Inevitably, it comes. Like inevitably it comes. How won't it come? Because it's the law of nature. And when you obey it, much like gravity, when you go up, when you jump up, you come down. When you lift your leg up, it goes back down. It's a law of nature that money will follow value. When you become a person of value, by having specific knowledge, sharpening yourself, becoming a better version of yourself, you apply different leverages to whatever you have. Come on. Why won't money come? Equity will come your way. But yeah, look out for it and make sure that you have it. I guess that's it. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Yeah, so let's talk with each other if there is something to talk about. If there's something to talk with each other, I guess that's it now.
Hi, David. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for the session. So you mentioned something while you were explaining. You said something about communication and being able to sell yourself. I just need one or two tips on how to so for that guy now, you were not exactly selling any products. You just want to meet one person per week. So or I don't know, one person per month or something. So what were you able to communicate to the person, and how were you able to build that network?
Oh, that's interesting. So I think for an average person that I miss, depending, so I mean, when it comes to me, right, depending on what kind of conversation that I'm having with you. So for instance, now there's this guy that's read one. Can you please read one?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So there's this guy that I'm meeting, for instance, next week now. And the only thing that I just told him was, you know what? I like what you're doing. basically is a guy in the payment space building a particular product. I like what you're doing. Can we have a chat? Let's just talk. Like, it was very direct. But I knew it was going to say yes today. Simply because I reached out to him on LinkedIn. And of course, my profile is there on LinkedIn. And in a way, I'm like, you know what? Why won't this guy say yes to me, right? Why would he say yes to me? He's a startup. I mean, he's a guy that is just building his product, and he probably believes I have something to offer. Yeah, I think I have something to offer him and that kind of thing. But yeah, it wasn't a big story. So just like, let's meet, let's have a chat, right? But another person that I might be reaching out to, like this particular person I talk about that I reached out to, what did I tell him? I'm like, so basically, I saw his profile and I was very impressed, actually. He's a black guy in the US. He's a black guy. He's a top executive in one of the big companies in the US. I'm like, that's an interesting. And I just told him that, guy, I like your story. It's interesting. I like your profile. It's interesting. And I told him about myself. I was like, this is who I am. This is what I've done so far. And in fact, I think a part of the policy that I put here is, you know what, I'm happy about where I am, but I want to learn more from you. I want to know one or two things from you about your story. And that was it. Yeah. Of course, the way you put all that together just makes it interesting. You know, if you like, give this person an audience. And of course, everybody wants to give you an audience when it comes to networking, especially in terms of that. Everybody wants to give you an audience, right? But of course, for those that give you an audience, make their time worth it. And yeah, I think that's the way to. So just communicate your story. Tell them why you want to meet them. Tell them why you want to meet them. Basically, give them an heads up, and that's it. More often than not, those that we say yes, we say yes. Those that we say no, those that won't even reply you. Of course, that's when it comes to LinkedIn. There are other people in my network that have basically come simply because they saw me and they're like, you know what, like me. So I'm someone that is very active, a bit active on social media. That have happened to be in my network simply because they see what I do and they're like, you know what, this guy sounds interesting or seems interesting. So let me get to know him. And these are people that ordinarily some of them are people that I'm looking out to as I'm like, this guy is a great guy, that kind of a thing. And they reach out and of course we get to talk and they're like, okay, we are not disappointed in whatever we got to you. And of course, one way or another, we maintain communication, and that's just there. But all these things as well, let me say none of them are quote unquote converted to money. But of course, everything is not about money, right? Everything is not about money, but it's just about, at the end of the day, people in your network become, quote unquote, become useful. Just as you become useful to them one day or another, right? And that's it. For me, it's just about building from now for a time that will become useful.
Thank you, David. So I think Damilola has something to say. Our hands are up. Hi, Dami. You can please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for the talk. Okay, so while you were talking, you said something about being looking for what you're good at, something like that.
Yeah.
And becoming an authority in it, something like that. I think that's what I got from it. Okay, what about if you kind of have so many things, like not like so many things, but you have 1, 2, 3 things that you think you're good at? How do you balance it? How do you look for that thing that that makes you shine out and can help you create value, that can actually help you to create wealth? So should you stick to one thing at a time, or maybe juggle the 2 things together? I don't know.
Trust me, I get your question. Yeah, I get your question. And everybody has been there. Or let me say everybody is there. Everybody is there. And the question that you ask is probably one question. I don't think a month probably goes by that I don't have to probably talk about one person or the other about that question. And that's it. Because at the end of the day, we're not just good at, we're not just, it's just one thing, right? See me now, I'm talking about personal finance with us here. But I mean, my day-to-day work is about data and analytics or whatever it is, right? Like that's what I'm, at least for now, that's what I'm focusing on to become very good at. If you probably see me on LinkedIn, I've been writing things around payments, crypto, and all those kind of things. And sometimes you're like, what's this guy even doing? His data, his payment, his personal finance, yeah, so it happens a lot. But you see, I asked that question myself one day, and at that point, I was very confused. I was very confused. In fact, that was when I was working at PwC. I was so confused yesterday that I was having conversation around, let me stop my job at PwC. Like, let me quit, let me go and do something else. But interestingly, I asked one guy that question, and he just gave a very simple answer. He said there is a difference between interest and obsession. And that just changed it for me. We have a lot of interest. We have a lot of interest. A lot of interest. But you see, we have obsession as well. More often than not, we are probably obsessed about only one, I don't know, maybe maximum of 3 things per time. Maybe maximum of 3 things. And I even doubt that obsession of 3 things. Let's say 2. See, and except you become obsessed about something, you can really get good at it. Because being obsessed about it means it's your waking thoughts, it's when you want to sleep, it's what you are reading about, you are spending hours on it, you're just consuming materials on it. You are reading it, you are working about it, you are talking to people about it. It's just your daydreaming, everything. So you see, when it comes to career, more often than not, it's always the best to just build it around your obsession. Yeah, your interests are there. Don't stop them. Well, don't stop them. Because I expect your obsession to, in a way, take over your whatever time you might have. But you've got other interests, it doesn't mean you should just relegate them. So it's just a tiny line of learning to balance that and navigate that. And again, when it comes to career as well, the question is, what are they paying you for right now? If they are paying you to be a marketer right now, but your interest is in finance, but you think, you know what, finance is my daydreaming. The question is, are you sure about that, right? If you're sure about that, I actually wrote an article about that around that time because I had to navigate it myself. I'm trying to navigate it by that article. So what I tell myself is, okay, if you say you are sure about that, you're passionate about that, what have you done? Have you taken ICANN class? Have you written ICANN? Have you done CFA? Have you learned financial modeling? Those are pointers to tell yourself that, you know what, okay, I'm really obsessed. And you see, the way the universe works, and let's talk about the universe, right? The way the universe works is when you put in those efforts, that's a way of rewarding you. When you've passed your one level in ICANN, you've become so good at financial modeling. You don't just learn financial modeling yourself, you probably learn it in the midst of other people. They're going to probably recommend you for a finance job so that you can leave your market, right? But if you say, you know what, finance is my thing, and you don't even know financial modeling in Excel, when they say investment banking, you're like, what's investment banking? So what is finance that you're interested in, right? Or you don't know PE, you don't know private. I mean, what exactly is it that you're interested in? So it's not about interest. It's about that obsession, right? It's about that obsession. So, and what I tell people is, if you don't know it, if you can't find it out, what you have to do at any point in time is, you know what's bringing food on my table? Let me get damn good at this thing. If you're not sure about your obsession, if you're not sure about your interest, you're interested in a lot of things, you probably look, okay, you know what? I think I don't have obsession, but I have a lot of interest. That's fine. Whatever your interest is, let them be. But you see that thing that is putting food on your table, get extremely good at it. You are a customer success employee. Be the person that every customer wants to talk to. You know, let it be that I want to talk with her or not. You're a marketer. I mean, whatever. You see, this life, it doesn't care about your interest. It cares about the value that you're able to give. Whether you like it, whether you like marketing or not is another question. But can you deliver in being a marketer? Can you deliver as a finance person? Whether you like it or not, that's a different conversation. And you can, of course, move on. But of course, you see, interests, there are a lot. And they won't stop. When you stay long enough on it, per day, you probably have new interest. But that's the nature of interest. But you see, obsession, they are rare. When I say rare, they are rare. I studied accounting, for instance, in school. When I got interested in data science, and I'm like, you know what, I think this is the next phase of my career. I didn't go about just telling people that I'm interested in data science and I want to do. I went on Udemy, I took courses. I went on edX, I took courses. And of course, my conversation anywhere I go started becoming things around data science. And let me just use this simple example. To the extent that when I got to I worked with PwC then. When I got to PwC interview, during the interview stage, I studied accounting school. They were asking me questions about accounting. I was surprised myself that I didn't know the answer. They were a very simple question, but because I stopped thinking about accounting, all my thinking was about data science. And at the end of the interviewer was like, it seems your interest is in data science. After the whole thing, it seems your interest is in data science. What if we can't give you that? That was our comment. What if we can't give you that? What else can we give you? And I was like, you know what, you can give me this or that thing, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, they gave it to me. Even though I couldn't answer the accounting question, because I mean, after thinking about accounting, I'm obsessed about this new career field. That's what I want to focus on. And that's it. That's the nature of obsession. It forces you to do things. And that's how you know that, you know what, this is what to do. But of course, if you have 3 obsessions, you hear me, what does it matter? What does it matter? As long as it's an obsession. Is it just about being good? As long as you are good about it, it's value. Because you'll be able to offer it as a value. At a point, I mean, I've always been interested in writing, and I'm probably still interested in writing. But I was very interested in it at that point that it became an obsession. And you know what? You know what the universe did for me? It orchestrated an opportunity that I started writing for a company that was paying. I mean, at that point, when I was in Nigeria, the company was actually paying me about half of what PwC was paying me per month. And I would do PwC work, do their work, earn money. I mean, I was just writing, I enjoyed writing. But of course, I mean, I stopped that. I stopped that when, I mean, I stopped that at the point of, you know what, since it's getting too much. But that's the nature of obsession. I hope that answers the question. What's your best advice to someone trying to transition into being a data scientist? Okay, now this is big. Okay, I don't want this to become a data science conversation, right? But I'll just answer the question. Yes, I mean, you can get my number from Bookhub, we can have a personal chat. But generally, when it comes to career transition, I'll just answer that in terms of career transition. When it comes to career transition, the most important thing again is you want to ask yourself, am I sure? Once you are sure, again, it goes back to that point of obsession. And obsession simply means you are investing in your next career field. So for instance, now, I mean, an industry that I'm trying to, I'm not transitioning, I don't know if I'm transitioning or not, but whatever. But an industry I'm trying to learn about and probably become, quote and unquote, known that, okay, you know what, apart from the fact that David is good in data science as a skill set, he understands this industry deeply as well. And of course, I want to be able to, so that such as in the future, probably when I want data science job in that kind of industry, they will give me without taking charge, because aside from my understanding of data science, I understand the industry as well, right? What have I been doing for this? I've been reading about the industry. That's it. You can't take it out. It's knowledge. What makes a doctor is because of what the doctor knows. What makes you a data scientist is because of what you know. And when the world is convinced that you are the best data scientist out there, they'll give you a job as a data scientist. When the world is convinced that you are the best marketer, you are the best product manager out there, they'll give you a job as a product manager. And considering this current world that we live in, where talent is the new good, right? Where talent, I mean, everybody is looking for talent here and there. I mean, they're gonna have you, especially once you have your skill in a very niche area. Of course, you don't. I mean, when it comes to career, you don't want to go to. I mean, the industries that are dying. Of course, that's not what you want to do. But yeah, that's it. It's just you've got. What makes a doctor is the knowledge. What makes a data scientist is the knowledge. What makes you a marketer is the knowledge of marketing that you have. So it's that knowledge. Once you have that knowledge, of course, you want to apply for jobs. You want to reach out to people in the community, people in the area. This is what I know. That kind of thing. Whatever industry. Okay, I guess I answered that. Any other thing for me?
Yeah, we have another question. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. From Kami, from Oluwasholawa. What's your
I
best
answered that already.
advice? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
Or Shion, can you confirm that I answered that already?
Because I think I'm seeing it twice. I'm seeing the same question twice.
Oh, really? It's only here once. But it's fine.
Yeah, you answered it already. I mistakenly sent it to the Bookhub Africa.
Yeah. Private chat. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Thank you so much.
Okay, David, sorry, just my final question. So coincidentally, we're actually reading Naval's book, or well, maybe not his book,
Almanac of Naval.
The Almanac of Naval Ravikant this month. So I'm talking about media. I'm just really thinking about it. Of course, we know that labor and capital is like more expensive. I like to think like capital is something you sometimes like someone like Temi or $30 or someone already has capital given to her. So that's a leverage.
And that's
labor is also expensive. You said?
That's the nature of capital. It has to be given from someone else.
Yes, it has to be given. Like, nobody's going to give you any money. Okay, so we've taken labor and capital off the table. Now we're talking about media and code. So for someone that like me that does not really exactly like the exposure with social media and all of keeping up with like, you know, postings and all of those things, I think when you're explaining media, you kind of limited it to followership. And I just want us to talk really around the things that we can easily like access. That's media and code. Okay, I don't like to code. I don't even want to code. So that leaves me with media. Does that mean that
So does that mean
like,
there's no wealth for you?
and that media is like, I don't really like the old noise with social media. So
Yeah,
let's talk about that and
I can
how
imagine.
like or let's think about like other leverages, I think, that we can actually use. I'm thinking one leverage I would have actually loved is like maybe knowledge or education. I don't know. I don't know if that also counts, but those are just my thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, let me just probably start from knowledge or education. Knowledge or education just makes you you, right? It makes you you. It makes you you in the sense that at the end of the day, what do you do with the knowledge and education? That's the question. At the end of the day, what do you do? Two things when it comes to career. You either own the company or you work for a company. When you own the company, few things. You have to use labor as a leverage because you can't do all the work, right? You need capital to organize the company. You need media to market, to sell your product. And of course, in this age, you need code to be efficient. So in a way, maybe that's an option when it comes to building your wealth. Maybe that's what knowledge and education can give you, and that's fine. But you see, it is not the leverage. The knowledge and education is not the leverage, it's your power. Those four things is what you will apply on your knowledge and education to scale your judgment. You see, Bukumi is good. She can make a call. She can say, you know what, let's build this company, and it can become a unicorn. But that's to make that into reality, she needs leverage. And unfortunately, that's it. And you see, again, when you go that route, realize that you can entirely avoid the coach that you don't like. You can avoid the media attention that you don't want. But the fact that you are avoiding them, it means you are getting someone else to do it for you. Unfortunately, that's the way life works. So if you don't do them, you've got to probably get someone to do them for you. That's if you own the company. Now let's talk about the idea of you work in another company. Because trust me, you can work in another company, rise the rank. Like rise the rank through your knowledge and education, right? Rise the rank and become something. But at the end of the day, what happens? Why we didn't give you all that? What we give you the opportunity to be able to rise the rank? You must be able to, you're able to coordinate people. If you're a very bad manager, nobody will put you in charge of the company. You will just wreck the company. Again, that means you must know the labor leverage. Depending on how high you rise, you must be able to organize capital. So again, it's the way the world works. So it's just a matter of, you know what, I don't like media, I don't like code. Capital is not so there, labor is not so there. But what can I focus on? Of course, I can focus on my knowledge and rise the rank. But at the end of the day, you just have to work with the four. We have to work with a mixture of the four or something. Now, yeah, I talked about followership or not, but of course, it's not ended there. But unfortunately, the nature of media leverage has to do with that popularity. Like it has to do with it. I mean, that's the way of the world. That's media leverage. That's media leverage. If you want to leverage it, it has to do with the media. It has to do with leveraging the reach of the media. It has to do with leveraging the reach of the media. But of course, it can be beyond that as well. So of course, not everybody have to build the follow. Yeah, not everybody have to build a followership, unfortunately. So if you have the specific, let me use the typical example for it. You have the specific knowledge, right? you can probably use, quote unquote, let's say you now have things to sell for, I'm just using this example because that's a cost, like you have something to sell. And of course, let's assume you have the 1 million follower. All you just have to do is tweet to your 1 million followers or something like, you know what, I've got this to sell. But unfortunately, if you don't have that, what can you do? You can use ads, right? You can go and pay for the ads. You know what? People, I have this to sell. And of course, you will make sales. You will make sales. But you see, at the height of it, at the height of that as well, of you know what, I want to use ads. At a point, you've got to stop running the ads yourself, except if you don't want to grow enough. But if you want to grow enough, you have to get to a stage where, like, you know what, I can't undo all the logistics of delivering this thing. I can't undo all the logistics of building this thing. I can't do all the logistics of, even if it's a digital product, maybe you just wrote an ebook. I can't do all the logistics of responding to all the email that my fans are writing and all this kind of thing. You still got to bring one human being in to probably help you with that. But at the end of the day, trust me, it's just that mix. It just has to be that mix of it. But again, how we all apply it will definitely be different. How we all apply it will definitely. The naval guy that wrote that's his idea probably in that book that's talking about all those 4 things. He has never made it, quote unquote, he has never used any of his media to make company. He's been building things around code and just like the fact that it's popular, right? He's doing things around code and capital and things like that. But again, you just have to, everybody just have to walk around that mix one way or another. No escape.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. But if you know of a way of escape, I'm really interested. Probably if you have more thoughts about it, you have my number, we can please chat. Okay.
Thank you so much, David. It was indeed a great time of learning. And then I really learned a lot. And then I don't know, I'd just like to share with people who joined late that we all deserve wealth, because building a wealth mindset is very important, because we all deserve wealth. And then don't invest short-term capital in long-term assets. It is a recipe for disaster. That's my takeaway. Yeah, don't invest your school fees into crypto. Don't invest your school fees into Bitcoin. Don't invest your house rent into crypto, because it's a long-term investment. So when investing, it is very important to think of long-term sometimes and then short-term also. Thank you so much, David. It was indeed a great time of learning. Thank you so much. I really learned a lot. I would like us to please unmute and then say a very big thank you to David.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Mr. David Alade.
Is it namaste or what's that now?
You don't disappoint always.
Thank you, David.
All right, guys. Yeah.
I sent you a connection request on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. I look forward to connecting with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, for turning up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.